the stochastic process works sometimes, what doesn't work sometimes. Okay, so the goal for today is to do a hands-on exercise, and I've uploaded a notebook on lecture 17. So if you go and click on this, it will take you to a Google Colab, which would look like something like this. So the overall goal is that we do an end-to-end analysis of a publicly deposited single bulk RNA sequencing dataset. And the starting point ideally would be that you look at the counts, you look at the raw data, you start from the raw data, you start aligning it, and then you get into the final counts matrices, and then you perform a differential expression analysis. For this data set that we're going to work on, there are like hundreds of patients. So technically, there's no need. First, 2 points actually. So one is that's a lot of data. If you want to align it on your computer, 200 patients data, the storage itself will start to run away. So that's generally not a good idea. But that's for technical reasons, right? That's not a good reason to not do this analysis. The second reason is actually in most the data set that we are going to work with, they've done a good job of putting out the counts matrices out there. So there's no particular need to actually really go back, download the raw sequencing, RNA sequencing data, do the alignment. We'll do this again in the next exercise where that need will arise where we really need to align this data. Generally, this need arises because they use like some pristine software, some from 2010, 2011, which is no longer relevant. And so the counts matrices that were deposited were like far too outdated now. That's when generally you would do it. But for the project that we're going to work on, we'll directly work with the counts matrix. Okay, so let's get started by just doing the usual things that we're going to do. So I try to keep this a mix of Python and R, and you'll see why R. My goal was that we could just do this in Python. Unfortunately, some of the bioinformatics ecosystem is still evolving in Python, and it will start to fail. We'll see just in a bit why that happens. Okay, so we'll start by just installing Conda because it makes our task of installing other tools very easy. So everyone is here. Everyone is able to find the link to the notebook. So you go to the syllabus page, navigate to the 17 lecture, click on this link. This will take you to this notebook. And we'll install Conda. Okay. Once you install Conda, we have another few utilities to install. So this includes a package, PySRDB, PyDseq2, and PyRanges. We'll install all of these. Once you install this, my session, I think, was already running. So I think this happened quickly for me, but in your case, this might take some time. Eventually, once you do this pip stuff, you'll have to go and restart your session. I think you'll also get a warning or some message that you have to restart your session because there is some dependency that gets updated, which requires everything to be reloaded again. So I'll just restart my session. So we're just doing the technical stuff right now. We'll get into the biology in just a bit. Okay. So everyone with me so far? Okay. Tanzeel? None? It's loading. Nikhil? Done? Okay. So there'll be points where things will be very slow, and I'll use that opportunity to give you some monologues of the mid-sem, the projects, and so on. So you'll get your evaluations you'll get the project evaluations by today, later today. So I think overall they look very, very good, very, very good job there. The mid-sem also I'm overall very happy with. It was a tough mid-sem. So I have to just do one final round of just making sure everything is correct. So you will receive it over this weekend for sure. Okay, so just don't panic looking at the scores. Overall, it's very, very good. Like it was a hard exam, right? So you'll see that that kind of reflects in the overall distribution, but nothing to be specifically worried about unless you are missing out assignments. If you've been missing out assignments, that's the only thing I'll worry about because that carries the most weightage, which is 45%. Also, from going on now onwards, we'll have like the assignments will be a mix of what you're doing with your project. So I don't want you to wait till the end and start thinking about this thing. So every assignment that we have will have a small component which will be specific to your project. The question will be generic, but you'll be required to like put a answer as an update to what you have done for that particular week, so that we don't leave things at the till the last minute. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to work with this data set. This data set, I think, came out early last year. So fatty liver disease. I think there's a project which focused on fatty liver disease. Whose project is it? Anindya? Is your project focused on fatty liver? Okay, right. So I'm also interested in fatty liver disease. I think I talked about this initially. Um, This paper came out last year. So this paper tries to do is it uses both transcriptomics as well as proteomics data to figure out a disease signature for different grades of fatty liver disease. So fatty liver disease, briefly, what happens is even if you're not if you have a very sort of high calorie diet and you're not exercising enough, there is a layer of fatty liver, or there's a layer of fat that gets deposited onto your liver. And in most cases, it's not really doing anything very serious until you let the layer keep growing, at which some point it will reach the stage of cirrhosis, in which case the cells of the liver start getting damaged. So what they look into is they broadly look into what changes happen between control, a moderate or an early version of the disease, and a moderate version of the disease, right? So we'll not do a very, very deep dive, but I'll just quickly go over when I started reading the paper, what kind of questions I had in mind and what kind of things I would what would I've liked to see. Okay, so let's quickly uh, do that. So let's first. So basically, what this paper is doing is it's looking at these signatures using both liver data and blood data. So we'll focus on the liver data for now because that's where the RNA-seq is. So the first thing that we're going to do is you look at the metadata that was deposited, right? So there are 200 plus patients for which this particular, their transcriptomes were profiled. If you have to sort of start thinking about how do you actually think about this data, the first thing that you need to do is like just look at the metadata, right? So if I look at the metadata, it's 216 rows, which means there are 216 samples, right? These span over like different categories of the disease. So there is a column called fibrosis stage, which means that at what stage that particular person is. So this is a numeric scale. Higher means that the degree of fibrosis is very, very high, and there are other columns which we are going to look into it. The main focus of our this particular session today would be on this column called stage. The stage is just early, moderate, or control for control patients, and that's what we'll focus on. Okay.
Isn't it the same as the stage in number?
So you mean this one?
Yeah.
No, so this is specifically for in terms of, yeah. So it's graded in that way, but this stage also has a corresponding column attached to it, which is called the NAS score. So there are like multiple things going on. So that's why you need like different metadata columns.
Is this determined by clinician? As in, like, is it just a diagnosis-based method, or are there any objectives?
Good question. So yeah, so when you start recognizing, when you start sort of asking patients for their consent, right? They have already gone through one round of screening in which somebody would have done what's called a fibroscan. That's where the NAS score that we'll just see in a bit, that gets assigned. So it tells you, if you do an ultrasound, it tells you the degree of invasion for a particular patient who has already been diagnosed with fatty liver, the degree of invasion that has happened, and that you can image. So these patients are first imaged, and then they get to know what stage of the particular disease is on, and then you take out their sort of transcriptome and look at what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so you're seeing like multiple things here, like, and multiple things are hidden, and you'll just see in a bit like some of this information is useful, some of this not so much.
Is this from right database or
No, this is from, so yeah, actually, let me just give you a very, very brief preview, right? So let's just spend some time just going through, like, briefly doing a 2-minute scan of the paper, okay? So the easiest way to do this is, like, just for journals like Nature, you can just switch on this figures panel. That's what I do. And literally just go over the figures, right? So the first figure just describes you what kind of experiments were done. Second is how much correlation do you see between proteins and RNA. Third one is trying to develop some sort of a biomarker for doing diagnostics of patients who are at risk. And then there is some validation, right? So basically three main figures, right? Which is, I mean, generally on the lower side for a Nature family journal, but I guess Nature Metabolism, that's how it works. You generally have 5 to 6 figures, but that's fine. Okay. So in terms of, let's look at it, right? So let's just go over it. So the first figure is just showing you that you take correct plasma serum, you do a liver biopsy, you do a proteomics on the plasma serum. So the plasma serum has your protein, so you just do proteomics on that data. And with liver biopsy samples, so you're taking out the liver. So you're not only doing the fibroscan, you're actually taking a chunk of the liver out and then doing the RNA-seq on these patients, right? So they have to consent to doing all this. It's generally not a good idea to, like, people will generally not be happy you taking this liver out,